Everybody, we'll start the meeting this morning for February 13th of the Carroll County Commissioners. And we'll open it up with public input. You have public input?
I am this morning. I think you ought to remind the people here that there's no meeting tonight.
Okay, yep, go ahead.
We had planned to have a public hearing on the new admissions policy at the nursing home, but because tomorrow night at 7 o'clock, but we've canceled it because the employees haven't had their input yet, and it was too short a notice to really get it out. It hadn't been on the website, and we want to make sure everybody has an opportunity to read it besides me and Mr. Brown, and get it out there in the public. So we will reschedule it at very shortly at another time.
Okay. Yes.
Morning, how are you today?
Morning.
My name is John Ruckenbrod, a local oath keeper, Ossipee. I understand in previous meetings there's been talk about some people running around frantic at this, thought that there might be a firearm lurking about, or defenseless firearm. Firearms that I may own and carry at times, they commit selfless acts of protection for society in general. And our mainstream media has basically put terror in the hearts and minds of people through television and news stories. In fact, I've gone and purchased firearms myself, and not yet have I ever come across a criminal firearm. I only carry law-abiding firearms. And there's no reason for anybody in society today to fear firearms at just their appearance. And there are those, I've heard stories of people who just at the mere sight of a firearm for the very first time just about panic and faint at the sight of them. This is wrong. And media's done this. Those in control and the upper levels of government and everything, they've been responsible for this. And it's totally wrong. We come from a society, and our founders and everything, where the firearms were the overall protection of everybody in general. Everybody was required to carry them. And there's no firearms that have ever been in defense of themselves, and the only ones that can be in defense of the firearms is us. We are the more or less this, I'd hate to say it this way, but for instance, the presence of an officer deters crime. That's a common fact. The presence of a firearm deters crime. It takes the crime thought out of the criminal's mind. Now, the fact that people go around and they carry concealed secretly, we're really secret police for the protection of the public. We are the ones that commit the selfless acts. And I just would like to dispel people's fear of, the firearm. There's millions of them today, every day, committing selfless acts of protection for society. That's the message that needs to go out. The other thing is people watch too much television. This is where the fear factor comes from. If they stop watching television, I challenge everybody to turn their TV off for 30 days. Pick the Bible up and put their faith and trust in God. Jesus is there for everyone. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you. Anyone else, public input? Seeing none, do we have minutes of
Yes.
last week's meeting?
We have the minutes of last week, February 6, 2013, page 4. Two statements of mine are left out. If you look at one before the last, Commissioner Sorenson said he would like first to review the letter regarding the investigation. And then it said, since she felt there was a conflict of interest, you didn't put in what a conflict of interest is, that Robin Gordon is the personal attorney of Robin Reade. I said it last week, I want to have that noted. And the one there above said, a letter was sent, the action was taken, and that a confidential information, but it was not for disclosure on the 91A. I also said, but it was disclosed in the paper. I want to have that in the minutes. Any other corrections?
Yeah. Over here.
Yeah, and I'll pass this over to Nancy. I would like added to the minutes, and near the end, Commissioner Kenney informed Commissioner Babson that she will be retaining a lawyer and will be taking him to court for breaking the 91A right-to-know law. Commissioner Kenney did not provide any backup documentation supporting her allegations against Commissioner Babson, but previously passed a motion that requires backup paperwork with all allegations delivered to her by the commissioners.
Commissioner Babson, you didn't say that at the meeting. We only need to record what has said at the meeting. And I said Commissioner Babson was continue to violate the law for the want to release confidential information, personal issues are exempt by law, and that I will petition the court. And that is what I said. You cannot just make a new statement and want to have it noted in the minutes.
Anything else for the minutes? Ready to approve the minutes as changed, as corrected?
The minutes are approved what was said last week at the meeting. We're not going to add and make new statements. That would be illegal. So I make a motion to approve the minutes February 6th, 2013 as corrected, and only what has said last week at the meeting. No other statements, new statements will be made.
Mr. Babson?
Commissioner Kenney, are you denying that you said you were going to talk to your lawyer and take me to court for
I
breaking?
didn't say a lawyer, I say I will petition the court if you keep on violating and you want to expose personal issues what are exempt by law.
I think you better go back and watch the tape.
You need to go back and watch it.
And how about being polite and not interrupting? And if you don't agree that that's what you said?
I know what I said, and that is what I just repeated.
Okay.
And I never mentioned that I would take an attorney. I said I will
Motion.
petition the court.
Well, I remember something else. I agree with Commissioner Babson as to what was said. Hearing no second,
So
do we have a motion to, another motion on the floor to,
I want to say so Commissioner Sorenson is agreeing with statements made but not have been said at last week's meetings. Well, I will table these sets of minutes.
I can table the minutes, you can.
You also have to take a vote to table, I believe, Mr. Chairman.
Okay? You make a motion to table the minutes?
Yeah, I can do that.
Anybody second it? Hearing no second. Do I hear a motion to approve the minutes as corrected from both Commissioner Kenney and Commissioner Babson?
As
Do
corrected
I-
as what? You want to have statements in what not have been said last week at a meeting? Is that how you want to correct
I'm
it?
asking for a motion, and I don't hear a motion yet.
Well, I thought you made the motion. I'd second it for discussion.
Okay, I'll make the motion.
I think
Discussion.
we ought to delay approving these minutes till next week, when we all can go home and watch the video and see exactly what was said and whether my comments were accurate or not.
Any further discussion on the motion? So I guess what you're saying is that you would not support the motion? You want to table it until next week?
I think I'd like to table it till we can go home and look at it and see if who in fact is correct and what's being stated in the minutes.
Okay, if you then don't support the motion, then we should vote no on the motion? So that is not approved this week? So
The motion is a table, Mr. Chairman?
the motion was to approve the minutes as corrected by both
Okay.
commissioners. So if you want to wait until next week, then
Vote
vote the
no.
motion down.
Yep.
So, any further discussion on the motion? All those in support of the motion say yes. All those not in support of the motion say no.
No.
No. So the motion is that we did not approve the minutes this week. We'll wait
Commissioner
until
Kenney
next week.
abstain, or did she vote?
I don't know, how did you vote?
Yes.
Yes, what?
I voted to table the minutes.
Okay, she voted no. Okay. Do we have any reports to be given today?
I just have something. 2 weeks ago, I handed the two commissioners, it's just on tape, you see that, the non-public minutes from January, I believe it was 16, with two different sets. I asked last week if you get a chance to read the minutes. You both said you don't have the minutes, but you have the minutes. If you lost the minutes, I want to make it noted that non-public minutes are lost then of January 16. So I will not be accused of releasing non-public information.
I'll make a motion, we table those minutes until next week.
And if you don't have it, then I will bring 2 new sets of minutes. And also Commissioner Sorenson to...
Do I hear a second to my motion?
Second.
Any further discussion on my motion? Seeing none, all those in support of the motion say aye. Aye. All those opposed, nay. I didn't hear you vote.
Yeah.
Did you abstain, or?
Yeah, I voted, yes.
You voted yes?
To table, yeah.
Okay. Then make it unanimous.
Okay, and the next thing is, it's now about 4 weeks ago, I gave Commissioner Sorenson the non-public minutes of the year 2009.
That's correct.
I didn't get it back. He was going to look into it. And also I give Commissioner Sorenson the non-public minutes of November 2nd. That was the emergency meeting. And I didn't get it back. So I want to note that it is out there. If non-public information is released, it had been given out.
That's correct. You did give me the minutes of the year 2009. When I got those, they were all unstapled. It was hard to follow. They were all mixed up. I have reviewed those. We have checked with the attorney so that the question was, could Commissioner Babson take a vote on this? And the reasoning we got back was when a person fills a position, that person then has a right to vote. And it's the position and not the person that would do the voting. I have not shared those minutes with Commissioner Babson until after that attorney gave us the ruling where she saw it should be. And we had a conference call on that last week, first thing in the morning. All three of us were there, and we heard her discussion. I will take those minutes, and I will see that Commissioner Babson gets to review those before we vote on them to release them.
Yeah, I have a comment. You said you talked to the attorney. Which attorney did you talk to?
Liz Bialy?
On a conference call? We didn't
Conference
talk
call.
about non-public minutes of 2009.
No, that's correct.
Which attorney did you talk with?
No. We talked with Attorney Bailey, and anything that, as again, we didn't talk about the 2009 non-public minutes. That's true. However, she said that anytime a person fills a position, they have a right to vote. And so, am I correct, Commissioner Babson? Did I hear
Yes,
correctly
and I
what you
think we
said?
also heard it from Mr. Brown down at the monthly meeting of the
New Hampshire
Association of
Association.
Counties, and he's the expert on 91A, and he said that I don't want to do it. He said I could go back in the non-public meetings as 5 minutes as far as I wanted to now that I'm elected. That's not my intention, but that was his answer also.
Yep.
Attorney Bailey never made that statement about the non-public minutes and that he can go back. I know that only Mr. Brown, who gave a training sessions, made that statement by the New Hampshire Association.
Well, perhaps maybe
And it was a training sessions, he's not a legal counsel, and he cannot give any advice.
Commissioner Babson?
I think maybe Commissioner Kenney is right. You might be confused. Maybe it was just Mr. Brown, but one of the two. And I'd like to point out that Mr. Brown is a lawyer, and he is the Assistant General Attorney, regardless of what Commissioner Kenney thinks.
Okay.
I just want to say, Mr. Brown is not a legal counsel of the county, and Mr. Brown gave a training sessions, and he cannot give out advice. And he noted it many times in his training session, I just give you my answer or what I think, but you always need to consult with your legal counsel.
Okay, Mr. Brown wrote 91A. He ought to know what it means. I would go on his advice.
You would think so.
Okay. Any other reports?
Do you want to discuss the trail now or later on?
I think it's on the agenda, right? Yeah, it's on the agenda, so let's wait.
Okay.
What's not on the agenda is, last week I said I would meet with the Ossipee Rotary Club, which I did the other day, Wednesday actually. And I went there with the idea of providing them with some information on the different projects that we have going on, where they might be able to support, whether in kind or with financial assistance. I mentioned that the nursing home was looking for a flagpole, and so I presented that as one project that they might participate in. And I believe, Howie, you told me it was $1,500. I said $1,500. I also talked about how they might be able to participate in the wellness trail. And there was another project. Tell the pole.
Not mulch.
Oh, it was for the gardens. The two gardens that have been identified at the nursing home that we need to work on this spring. They indicated to me, in fact, an individual came up to me after the meeting, and the individual said, if the Rotary does not sponsor the flagpole, because they didn't make a decision at that time, she said, if they don't do it, then I will do it. So the flagpole item should be taken care of, and it will be done this spring. I will also say that there were several people there that said how proud they were and how proud I should be and the Board of Commissioners should be on the new nursing home. They said it's a great facility, long overdue, and for all the good reasons why we've said it over the years. But you know, it's nice to have them pick up my spirit anyway. Lots of times you don't hear about the good things that we do, and I thank them for their comments. With that said, Howie, you're first on the agenda.
Good morning, Commissioners.
Good morning.
First of all, I want to thank Commissioner Sorenson for being the Mountain View's advocate to the Ossipee Rotary Club. That's going to be very much appreciated by the residents who made the proposal, and it's going to be a fitting welcome to the building as people come in. So I think it's going to be very distinctive.
One other comment, I think they will also maintain that area.
Which is perfect.
But they're yet to vote on it, so
Well,
I think they'll do that.
And our goal is, ideally to be able to celebrate this Flag Day, June 14th, with a new flagpole and a ceremony giving, due credit to those who have made it possible, and hopefully that'll be the Ossipee Rotary Club or the individual that you spoke with. But I know that our National Guard participant, Asa Osgood, will be very pleased, because he was prepared to go door knocking from VFW to American Legion all through the county, but this'll expedite things considerably. So thank you
There are
very
other
much.
projects that other organizations can participate in.
Oh,
I'm
to be sure, there's no shortage of things that we can do, so,
Right.
but thank you, and this is, this is gonna be wonderfully symbolic, because it really will help forge that relationship between the greater community and the Mountain View community, because we want the outside community to be involved and supportive, and and this will be a great way to demonstrate that.
Let me add another comment that they made to me. At least 2 or 3 of them that were there said that they participated in the transition or the movement of residents from the old nursing home to the new one, and how smoothly it went, and how great the day was.
That
Yeah.
story is etched in everybody's memory. That must have been a very remarkable morning, that September 13th, 2011, or apparently in a time less than 2 hours.
Yeah.
There was a transition from one building to the other, and those that were part of it still remember it as going smoothly and well, and the residents had lunch in the new building, and as though nothing had changed. So
Yep.
that was very well executed. And apparently it involved a lot of outside people to make it all happen, too.
I won't interrupt you again. Go
Well,
ahead.
that's
I'm
quite
sorry.
all right. In terms of some of the essential things, that we are at census of 101 with a pending admission either today or tomorrow. On budget 2013, work continues. We had I think a productive meeting with a legislative subcommittee. In terms of they have their questions and concerns, but I think there's substantial agreement on all critical issues. So hopefully that process will continue to go well. Storm review and update. Mountain View did very well despite challenging conditions. Rob Horace and his crew are to be commended. 100% attendance on the part of dining services for both first and second shift on Saturday,
Snow day.
which is wonderful. Saturdays, special thanks go to Becky, Patty, and Jen for having come in. By the time I got in on Saturday, everything was under control, and it was always just a typical day. Special accommodations and were made for some reduced staffing, but it was not. It wasn't. We weren't in crisis mode at all. A wonderful crew that found their way in. Dining services saving money. Rob gave me a check yesterday for $3,364.17. That is a rebate from, he enters into group purchasing contracts very, very carefully to get the best prices up front. This reflects an incentive for calendar year 2012 of additional incentives. That it goes into the general treasury, but at some point it effectively reduces our total cost of food. And $3,000 here and $3,000 there, it is significant, and it does add up. We did last week have a very productive trails meeting, and that group is very anxious to get things started. And they've actually decided that those meetings, first there'll be a preliminary meeting to help lay out the start of the trails. And then the idea is to take the committee outside and looking at things with the goal being to get something started as soon as possible. Not to worry about getting everything done, but to be sure that we get something started so we can start building some enthusiasm and support. So that's off to a good start.
Since we're on that subject, Commissioner Babson, you were going to report on it under the agenda, but do you want to make any further comments regarding that meeting that you went to?
I think Howie's done an excellent job.
Well, I've just
What we were going to do is one of the things is Wendy was going to go out with Will and mark a corridor around. I brought up your concerns about being too far out in the field and not closer to the wall. There's a map over here. There was some discussion, a little short discussion about cutting across the the first trail so that, and making it totally wheelchair accessible so that the group could come out, take a short loop around rather than going the 3/4 mile, which won't be set up for wheelchairs. And if you look on the map, both of the Phase 1 and Phase 2 are laid out there. And I think that was about it. It's moving forward. It's not standing still anymore.
They're very anxious to get, as soon as the snow's gone again,
And the
to get out
committee
there.
was Noreen McDonald, who has managed the making of a trail somewhere in the west, I believe it was California, who added a lot of input to things that most of us wouldn't have thought about in building a trail. Patty, Susan, Howie, myself, Will.
Wendy.
Wendy, that's right, and I think that was it.
A good group.
Good.
Other things that I have for you, I don't have a real explanation for it, but our Facebook presence has been leaping taking quantum leaps. The number of total reach just in the last week is up to 785, which is about a 63% increase, which is, we're using that more and more to keep connected to the outside community, along with our staff and family community. And it's the way of the world these days, is to see what's going on in almost live time. Meeting later today with House of Corrections to continue to explore the inmate labor. And within the next 2 weeks, we'll be scheduling a meeting of the Landscape Gardening Committee. That's the other dormant committee that I think is ready to take off. I've found all the old information, some of the old minutes, so that hopefully that committee can get a jump start. Because I think what we really need is not only a master plan of what needs to be done, but an action plan of how we can start doing it. So much the same with the trails. I think we have a real opportunity with the spring to get something started. And the only other thing I have for you is that at some point, a very brief non-public request, and whether I can come back later if that's a more convenient time.
We will recess for non-public right away.
Okay. How
You
would
said
like
it's
to
very
do it?
short.
Very short,
Okay. Like 10 minutes?
or 5.
5 minutes, okay.
But that's all I have of a prepared nature for
And
you.
your reason for non-public is personnel, or?
Personnel.
Okay,
Have non-public now?
yeah. I have another issue to be brought up at non-public, dealing with the nursing home, that I don't want to get into right now, but it's something that we need to make a decision on. But,
Why don't
So-
we have, Mr. Chairman,
go ahead.
why don't, if we're going to take up 2 issues and we've got.
This is
people
a
that
very
can
short
listen-
issue, I just want to bring it up,
Well, okay.
okay?
I would prefer to have Howie come back. I don't think it's fair to the people that come here to listen.
Okay. You want to come back at, at 9:30? I mean, it's a half an hour.
Point of order.
Yes,
I believe there's a conference room right here. You could have your non-public here. It's only going to take.
we could, you're right. You want to adjourn to the room across the hall for a few minutes? Talk about non-public?
Yeah, that's fine.
That's interesting.
I'll do what the
Great.
2 of you want to do.
Okay.
Express my opinion.
But we need to make a motion
So that's-
to,
I'll make a motion that we go into non-public regarding nursing home personnel, and that we meet just across the hall, and we'll be back right in session right after that. That's my motion. Do I hear a second?
second.
All those support of the motion, say aye. Aye. And so voted. And we're waiting for Jason Johnson to come in. We won't be having a work session today because Janice Sullivan is home sick, and and will not be in today. So, and we need her because she is the one that developed that handbook, and the handbook is what I'm talking about. We were going to go over the next section, so we'll put that off until next week. Do you have motions that you want? Oh, I know what, I'm sorry. I have two contracts that we need to take action on. One is the Highway Safety Agency. It's a contract, both of these deal with the Sheriff's Department.
Are it grants or are it contracts?
It's a grant, it's a contract. And it's in regards to, well, Sheriff, maybe you ought to explain this, but this first one is in regards to speeding on Route 16, is that correct?
Highway safety from the state,
Mm-hmm.
and they provide the salary for time and a half hours that's conducted, and it would be conducted on the corridor of Route 16 and a mile on 25 or 28, any of the state highways.
You've done this before?
Yes, we've done it
And
over the years.
it was done before because there were a lot of accidents on that road, right?
Yes, you have
in that
to
area?
report your accidents, fatal accidents in the area, and the fact that it is a long highway as far as Route 16 is considered for the
Mhm.
state. That goes through our county, so that's where they want to fund the money to provide the public safety for speed and other issues. You're doing safety checks on the vehicle as far as if there's children in the vehicle, if they're seat belted also while you're doing the stops.
Okay,
So you're
so it's-
recording some other
it's
data
safety,
also. Yeah.
basically. And it's for $4,472.60.
And those are usually, I believe, 4-hour increments.
Did you have a chance to read that?
Yes, but I had a couple of questions.
Okay, go ahead.
Sheriff, this grant money that's paid to these officers, does this go towards accumulating pension time?
From what I know of the revisement of the pension, it doesn't include overtime and detail time at this time. I know that is a lawsuit that is in the courts also, so in the end, it'll depend on where that lawsuit goes. So it may in the end, and it may not. But right now, it is not considered because it is time and a half hours, overtime hours.
Well, I guess I'm confused. I didn't think it made any difference whether it was time and a half or regular time if it went towards your pension,
Now,
accumulating the highest wage for the
from what
for
I
the last
understand,
5 years.
yeah,
which
from what
was
I
the
understand, the new system that the retirement put in place is, doesn't include detail hours and overtime hours, I think. I could be wrong on the overtime, but I know it doesn't include detail at this point.
Well, all details are time and a half anyway, isn't it?
No, it's a detail rate. It's specific. It's actually above time and a half.
So you pay, the construction company or the line company pays the county turns around and pays the officer. What's the difference between that and any other way he gets his wages that goes towards the highest last 5 years? Which is what got us in one of the things that got us in a lot of trouble.
That's why, that's one of the steps they're taking to, in their minds, try and revamp the retirement system. So that's one of the things they're excluding, so that you don't go that high salary. Right or wrong, but that's what the legislature's doing right now.
The other question I had is...
Okay, along those same lines, it's for 88 hours, but there's also a payroll-related deductions at 25%. What is that payroll deduction? It's roughly $894.52.
I think that would be the FICA and all that stuff, I believe.
Okay,
Yep.
okay.
All the tax
Sorry, go
deductions.
My note here, when I looked at it, I had, what is a call to service? Is that a stop, or is that or was that on the other grant? No, a call to service area, seat belts. Call for service, that's,
That's there would be anything, action taken. That'd be a stop and,
Well, on this sheet, Sheriff, it says 2012, and then it goes down the list, fatal, personal injury, property damage, and then totals. And then enforcement statistics, DWI, speeding warnings, safety belt summons, safety belt warnings, call for service. What is the difference between those first five and a call for service? The call for service in that 88 hours or whatever it is was 2010. Is that just a radio communication, or why is that number so huge?
that's not a year maybe, or no?
No, it's on anticipated results and goals.
I'd have to look at that.
Do we have any time to put this aside for a week?
It's supposed to be done by 1st of March, I think,
Yes.
right?
Supposed to be in.
I make a motion that we set this aside or lay it aside for another week till we can get some answers. I just don't understand.
Because it would not be,
Is that a-
if
is
it's
that-
talking about that time period, there won't be 2010 call for services.
That's what it says. 2010, it was 1,624. 2011, it was
Oh, so it is the year.
1,895. It's 2010 and 2012, and you're anticipating the 3-year average is
Right.
1,843. I'd just like to know what
So
they
the
are.
2000s are the years that those numbers took place, the total numbers. Of,
So you're saying that the crash and enforcement statistics, calls for services in 210, that is for the whole year?
yes,
Oh, okay.
yes.
That makes sense.
Any other questions? Take a look at it. While she's looking at that one, let's talk about the one on the Kank. I believe that's for 12,000.
Yes, it's a flat funding that the federal government provides for the Forest Service Patrol, which also does include the campground patrol at the night hours for 4 hours.
And that's for $12,100. What is the time?
And that's at a detail rate, not time and a half rate.
Okay.
So the county does get some administrative costs
Mhm.
off of that for fuel and
So
vehicles.
this is for any time during the,
It's usually the summer months during the weekends.
during the summer months, but
Starting Memorial.
up until you use up the $12,100? Okay.
Yeah. Which schedule-wise usually takes us somewhere in September after the holiday.
And this is an ongoing, we've had this for a number of years.
As long as I remember, yes.
Go ahead.
One of the things I can remember from my days on the delegation was someone saying that we didn't get paid until long after the jobs were done. Is that true?
No, it's, we submit the funding and the bill, and then they,
So it's been
It's
corrected.
reimbursement.
yeah, it's pretty
Okay.
quick.
I had a question about that one when I read it, but I didn't mind write it down.
So we're taking action on this one next week, is that what you?
Did you get your
Suggest?
questions answered? Can we act on
Yeah,
it
yeah,
now?
we can act on it now. They answered
What
my
about his
question.
motion? He made a
You
motion.
gonna act on
We haven't
both
got-
of them?
We haven't got a motion yet.
I'll make a motion that we, do we accept the grant? Is that how it goes? We accept the federal safety, auto safety grant?
Commissioners are responsible for all contracts, so I think you should make the motion that we accept that contract and give permission to the chairman of the board to sign the contract, which is only one signature block on it.
Can I have
This one?
yep. I'll make a motion that we accept the Highway Safety Agency grant for the year 2013, and that the chairman of this board have the authority to sign the grant.
I'll second it. Any further discussion on this grant? All those in support of the motion say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Those opposed, nay. All, then the motion passes.
It's 12,095, eh? This second one.
I thought there was a signature block here, I don't see it
Change
now.
and fund.
Yeah, isn't there just one space on there that you can sign somewhere? I thought I saw it, I got the other one. Could I see that one again when Commissioner Kenney done with it?
I have 3 copies, I believe.
Is this the one that sets the rate? Or is that the other one?
What's the number again from the first grant? What did you have?
What's that, you mean Dullum?
Yeah.
4,400 and something?
$4,472.60.
16 or 60?
60.
60.
What is the second grant called? The second grant, what is that
What's that
called?
one? Titled,
It's
it's for the
Forestry.
It's from the Department of, United States Department of Agriculture for law enforcement and investigations, and it pertains to the
You
King
said
Ranges
forestry,
Highway.
yeah? Forestry, that is what you said.
Yeah.
I hear a motion to accept this one, and to give the authority to chairman to sign it.
Yes, I make, so move.
I hear a second.
Second?
Second it?
Second.
Any further discussion? All those in support of the motion say aye.
Aye.
Did you say aye?
Aye.
Okay.
And it was for
Unanimous.
12,000.
12,100, I think it was.
12,100?
Mhm. Did I say the motion carried?
Yeah, all in favor.
Okay, should be all right.
It's 12,095.
Look at the bottom underneath that. They rounded it off to 12,100.
Well, from the bottom. This is the bottom.
That's because you only used, you were $5 short on your usage the last year, I think. That's what I read.
There's operative financial plan. Why are they? Say the forest surface 1360, 12,095. Well, anyway, it's close.
Thank you, Sheriff.
Thank you.
Superintendent Johnson?
Morning, Commissioners.
Good morning.
This morning, we had 51 in-house, 0 weekenders, 1 out on electronic monitoring, 4 transfers, 2 out of pretrial release, total population of 58. Took in 20 inmates last week, 9 were repeaters, and 15 were released. I'd like to make a couple of public announcements. One, Officer Tracy Newland was previously nominated, and recognized this past week for the 2012 Employee of the Year. Also, CO Justin Corliss was
By who?
the employees
Okay.
within the
In-house,
department.
in-house within?
Yes, sir.
House of Corrections, okay.
Mhm. Further, Corrections Officer Justin Corliss was previously nominated and recognized for Rookie of the Year. And Sergeant Michael Baker was recognized for receiving the most training hours of the year. He received 133 hours last year. The minimum standard is 32 by NHAC standards, so he far exceeded that.
Okay.
Excuse me, Jason.
Yes, sir.
Was that the young man that came in and gave the presentation on the firearms training?
Yes, sir.
He did a very nice job.
In regards to the,
How is it publicized, or other than bringing it to us this morning?
we just did a
Press release?
well, yes, Captain Fowler sent something out to
You got something?
Carroll County Independent, yes. And we can do something, the Conway Daily Sun as well.
Okay.
Checked the value of the visiting room tables, looked at the personal property depreciation values, and for that type of property, the commercial property, anything over 4 years old is considered 22% of its value. So we have a range between $4,200 to $4,900 for all the tables. Due to our scheduling,
Is it in our budget to replace those?
well, we want to get rid of them so we can bring in more professional style furniture for.
I mean, is that in our budget
What's that?
to bring in
Well, if we
new
can.
furniture?
No, I'd like to use the money from getting rid of these to offset purchasing something else.
I see. Since it's property of the county, do you want to make a motion to approve that?
Can you repeat again what you're doing, Jason?
We're getting rid of the tables that we had in the visiting room. They were the hard style tables, and we want to replace them with like folding tables, chairs, and things of that nature, so it would be a more professional setting for attorney visits, DH, DCYF when they come in and meet with their offender and their child. It's a more professional style setting rather than a hard setting.
The only,
Mr. Babson.
I think Jason's, he's the boss, and he knows what he's doing. I only have, I think, one technical question here. If we sell them, doesn't that money go into the general fund, and shouldn't you have to appropriate money to buy other tables? I agree with Jason, you ought to be able to do it to make it better, but I'm not sure that's the way our system works.
That's normally what happens. If there's something that's sold, it goes in the general fund, and we have to. Do you have another item in your budget that would fall under, whether it's under supplies or equipment,
It would be new equipment.
new equipment?
Yeah. I'd have to take it out of new equipment.
Do you have money there in that line?
Well, they had it scheduled for something else.
Isn't there a way we can increase the appropriation
Yeah.
so that we can give it back to them?
What I think we should do is take the money that is generated
Mm-hmm.
from the sale of those,
Mm-hmm.
that goes into the general fund.
Okay.
We have the right to move money out of another account and put it into new equipment.
Okay.
When you come up with that figure, then we'll act on that.
Okay.
And I'm sure there must be enough money, 5,000 basically we're talking about.
Yeah. I imagine we can
We
get.
should be able to find 5,000 in your budget in another line item.
Okay.
You check that out.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yes.
Just not to rain on the parade, are the tables existing, are they bolted to the floors, or?
They were. We took them out.
I just question the safety issue, as far as that room, you still will have inmates in there. So I don't know if the folding chairs and that type of thing,
Then-
if things aren't working the way they want, if they get aggressive. They're
Well, we have-
obviously gonna have ease to start throwing around furniture. That, I don't know if you looked into that aspect or not.
We have we run programs in a classroom setting, and we haven't had that problem as of right now. And that's,
Inmates do go into that room?
well, yeah, we used it for our visiting room.
Okay, but there's no contact.
Correct. All the visits now are non-contact.
But you still use that room?
We used it for like church services and things of that nature, yes.
Okay. Okay, what's the pleasure of the board?
Well, I think we ought to try to sell them before we can buy any new stuff, right?
Right.
You got any buyers?
We'll have to list it.
Okay.
We'll have to list it.
Okay, basically then we approve of the superintendent's recommendation,
Yes.
so.
I move that we allow Superintendent Johnson to sell the tables and chairs that he's removed from the contact, from the visitor's room.
And that he looks in our budget, into the budget and find out where we can move money from one item to another.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? Agreeable? I'll second the
And
motion.
just so I understand, the existing budget that we have now, you want me to be able to move money around?
I think we have to do it if it's over $1,000. I think that's what this board voted on a couple of years ago.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, if it's over $1,000, the board needs to move the money from one item to another.
Okay.
The question I think you're asking is it coming out of 212 budget or the 213 budget?
213.
I think it's got to come out of the 213 budget.
Right.
So now we don't know what's left over. Well, see what you can do, find it.
Well, the subcommittee can also put money into it if they want to on the new equipment line.
True. True, you could do that instead of moving it.
Yep.
So I guess what we're saying is that did we vote on that?
We haven't voted on it yet.
Okay. Any further discussion on those items, the tables, replacing them? If not, all those in support of the motion say aye.
All right.
Aye. All those opposed, nay. Then, so voted.
Was that a 2-to-1 vote or a 2-to-0 vote?
I
I
didn't.
voted. I will speak up louder now.
You voted in support of it?
Yes.
Okay.
Have you folks been able to check your email yet from before you came up this morning?
Checked it last night.
What's the
Okay,
question?
your email. The only reason I ask is because yesterday I sent over a picture of the air conditioning units. The snow had come down off the roof, a small portion of that snow had come down off the roof and nearly buried those air conditioning units.
I thought that was an issue
That was taken care of a couple of years ago.
a year ago or two, no?
We haven't appropriated any money to move those units away. We discussed it,
Okay.
but we haven't done anything to correct it. So we need to really put a plan together to move
Okay.
those away from the building within the next year or two of some capital improvement money.
I would suggest that that's another issue that should come up with the subcommittee for capital improvement and get that done. Because if we wait another year, the same thing's gonna happen next year probably. So, since you're responsible for the jail, Commissioner Babson, would you contact the chairman of that subcommittee for those two items?
I will take care of both of them.
Thank you. Okay?
You said you sent it to the commissioner's email?
Yes, downstairs.
And
Yeah.
you said you
What's
read
that?
it last night?
I read it, but I didn't see any pictures on it. I didn't get an email from you or whoever sent it.
Okay. Can you check the commissioner's email? Because I just sent it to the email for downstairs. I didn't
Oh.
send it to your personal.
No, I haven't.
email.
Okay, I haven't got on that one.
Okay. And then just to clean up, how about the proposals about the ranking? You guys talk about that at all? And
I guess we haven't really discussed it, other than that Commissioner Babson asked, would this then lead to raises because of the ranking positions that was called for in that document? I guess I would, and the way it was presented, it was supposed to be for a morale booster. I had no problems with that, but I don't think we want to get into dollars for those different ranking systems. Anybody else got any comment on it?
As far as doing it for a morale booster, I'm all in favor of it. But I'm sure the morale booster is going to lead to, in the next union contract, individual raises for each one of these steps. And I'm not in favor of that.
But the union has agreed to it. They took a vote on it, right?
Mhm.
My understanding? Okay.
It was designed to recognize those people that have maintained, and looking at so what other facilities do in regards to recognition, and specifically like training members when they're in a training capacity. There is a language in some other collective bargaining agreements that talk about when you're performing a task such as instruction or things of that nature, then they receive a higher rate of pay, and it ranges anywhere from a set amount to a percentage of their wage, and it's only paid while they're performing that function. Then when they're doing their regular day-to-day duties, they receive what their base rate is. So there's some flexibility that other institutions have done to address that, so it doesn't have a huge impact on the budget.
You want to take it under advisement and think about it for next week?
Well, let's give them an answer next week for sure,
Okay.
instead of kicking it down the road. The other thing we were going to vote on, and I don't recall voting on it, was giving the interim pay raises to those people that performed while their superiors were out.
And in that particular case, they get extra pay for performing those duties, right?
They
According
just-
to our financial officer?
They received what their union raise calls for. So when they were in the performance of those duties, they received the OIC.
The going rate for that?
Right.
Okay.
Now I'm confused. I thought I read, and that you told me that they got an increase in pay while they were performing those duties, but it was not at the rate that the individual they replaced was being paid.
Correct.
Well, I'd be
So
very
now I'm
happy.
confused.
The union contract, the union contract has, when you're an OIC, you receive, I want to say it's 45 cents an hour above and beyond what you're asking, what your regular pay is. What I proposed is that they receive the sergeant's pay for, while they were covering those shifts.
While they were acting as a sergeant?
Correct. And what I've asked was the difference from that 45 cents to the 1875. That's what I spelled out in that proposal that I sent you.
I have no problem with paying them for doing the other person's job.
Right.
I don't want to pay them the extra 45 cents too, so I would support your wish, provided that amount of money only represents what that person would have been paid if they were here at work, and not the 45 or the 41 cents included on top of that. So, the
Well,
difference between what he's making, not what his regular pay is, and what the individual whose job he performed while that person was out. That amount of money. I don't want to also have the 41 cents or whatever you mentioned there, in the union pay in that too. So just a straight, if he's making $10, the other guy was making 20, he gets the $20 for that period, not 20, not $10.45 or whatever you said it was. So
we're
it's
talking-
41-cent increase, right?
Yes, so the person would be making, say, just to use whole numbers, $15 an hour. If they were the OIC, they would be making $15.45. So what I've asked is to take the difference between the $15.45 and the $18.75 and use that dollar number.
That's what I'm talking about.
Right, that's exactly what I presented.
Okay.
Yep.
What we're talking about is when we had 3 people out, one of them was a sergeant, and we had to have somebody else fill that position, and it's only right that they deserve to get that pay that that sergeant was making while they were filling that position. So,
Well, I'm afraid that we open this, everyone who step in, and if somebody's out sick or is on leave, that we have to pay those people. Because other departments can come too and say, hey, I step in, I take this over in that position, and I want to have that paid. And what does the union contract say again?
It calls for 45 cents an hour. That's where it,
Increase.
Correct.
If they're stepping up.
Mhm.
And you're not going what the union contract is saying, eh? You just take the difference.
We went above and beyond what the union contract said.
I just want to stay what the union contract said.
did the union take a vote on it?
The union addressed it in the fact that they would approve as long as this is a one-time bonus issue, correct? So, yes, Ken Fanjari weighed in on it and he approved it. As long as we
Okay.
do an addendum to the contract saying that this was a one-time and only
Okay.
matter.
Any further discussion on it? Are we all clear now? It's the difference in what they were making and the position that they were filling, right?
Correct.
That's what you're adding?
Yes, sir.
And that doesn't include any longevity or anything over and above that hourly rate for that position.
Correct.
Okay.
All right, do I hear a motion?
Yeah, I'll make a motion that we pay, was it the 3 individuals, Jason?
Just 2, sir.
The 2 individuals, the difference in wages for the jobs they performed while they were temporarily in
In that position?
that position.
I'll second it.
Less any additional benefits that may have come to them in there at that higher level.
I'll second that. Any further discussion?
Yes,
All of-
can I amend that motion?
Sure.
I just wanna that they get paid only what's in the union contract, because we're only bound to go what the union contract is saying. If they're stepping in, they're getting like 45 cents, you said, an hour more?
Above the base rate, yes, ma'am.
Yes.
You make that a motion?
Yes,
To amend the motion, right?
yes.
Do I hear a second? Hearing no second, the amendment fails. Act on the motion as presented. All those in support of the motion say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All those opposed, nay.
I oppose.
Okay. 2-1. Let the minutes show 2-1. Motion carries.
Thank you.
Anything else?
I just have a couple personnel matters I'd like to discuss in a non-public after your work session or what have you.
Okay.
Your dock start coming in 11 now.
At 11, but it's not even 10 o'clock yet.
Nope.
And we're not going to have a commissioner's session.
Well, we are gonna have
Let's-
we're gonna have a work session, but we're not gonna have the
Okay,
personnel handbook and the
Okay.
evaluation.
you're right. Jeez. The agenda, it makes it difficult to, at 11 o'clock, everybody is invited to stay. Commissioner's work session also. We will not be discussing the personal handbook this week. We've already had the walking trail committee report. I guess we gotta do it sometime. I guess at this point in time, I'd open it up for public input. Make sure we have that. Melissa, you had something.
I think David has his hand up.
What's that? Damon?
Yeah, I had a couple things.
Don't go away.
I won't.
Okay.
So, if I understand your issue with the jail correctly, there were two people that were out who had a sort of a significant rank, and then two subordinates came in and filled those positions. Under the union contract, for filling in, they get a 41-cent raise. But what we're doing is we're giving them more money than that. We're giving them what their superiors were making. Is that?
That's correct. And it was approved by the union steward, not only here in the jail, but their representative that represents their union.
Why?
And it would be a sidebar that we'd have to make out with the union that this happens, takes place.
Why are we making this special deal now?
Why are we making a special deal now?
Right. Why aren't we going with the union contract? I guess I don't understand what the logic is.
Well, we were understaffed in the jail, for one thing. These people did not have to come up and fill those positions, but they did. And in fact, Jason spent, I think, a whole week. He's a salary individual, but he spent better, I would say a week, maybe longer than that, Jason, I'm not sure. But he filled in also during that time, and there was a shortage. He didn't get any extra pay out of it because he's salaried. But he is supporting two individuals that did step up to the plate and fill those positions.
But don't you think that it sets a precedent for other, if this happens in the nursing home, this happens somewhere else, are we going to?
I think we can look at it on a case-by-case basis.
Okay, and then the other question I had was,
Can I?
Go ahead.
Throw my 2 cents in?
Yeah.
I think that any time that you have an employee that assumes the responsibility of somebody else, they deserve to be compensated for that job rather than the 41 cents. I think you want to do that, Daymond, because you want people in the future, if there's another crisis like this, or whatever you want to call it, You want them to step up and not say, I'm not gonna do that job because I'm only gonna get 41 cents more and it's gonna take 18 more hours a week. To me, it makes good sense to encourage people to do this.
What's the price difference? How much money did this?
I think the total was 3,000 something for the highest paid that did the job for 2 months.
Total, I think, was
Of
around,
what?
between the two of them, I want to say it was between
Jason's
4 and
request?
4,500, 4,000
No,
and 4,500.
because you have it.
Okay.
I never read the
And then-
request.
The other question I had on this matter was, is this regarding the three corrections officers that were on leave for a number of weeks?
Yes.
And are they still employed with the county?
Yes, they are.
The other question I had, last week Commissioner Kenney threatened to sue Commissioner Babson. I was just wondering if the commissioners had any knowledge of any pending suits against, from Asha to Commissioner Babson.
Daymond Steer, I didn't threaten to sue. Commissioner Babson willfully wanted to release personal issues, what is exempt by law.
But you said you would petition the court.
Yes, if he is going to release information, what is exempt by law, that's a violation.
So you're not gonna,
It's a
so you're not
violation,
gonna,
it's a violation of the statute. And if he's continuing to threat every week, he's going to violate the law, then yes, then I have to take action.
okay, so you're not gonna take action now, but just if he oversteps again?
No comments at this moment.
Okay.
And let the minutes show that
I
we
just
were
wanna say that.
questioning, my statement was incorrect. Commissioner Kenney didn't say she was gonna hire a lawyer, she said she was going to petition the court.
Questions answered?
Yes,
Anything further?
not this time.
I have something what, who brought up, I think is Jason here? Yeah, he's still here. The two people who's getting the increase in pay, who are these two people?
Corrections Officer Newland and Officer Morrison.
Okay, and you said also that the union steward agreed. Who is the union steward?
The process was run by the regional representative, Ken Banjoy.
But who is the union steward?
We didn't actually have we talked to Ken Banjoy, HR talked to Ken Banjoy about this whole process, and Ken Banjoy was the one that weighed in on it and said, yes, we could do this.
Okay, thank you.
Okay.
Anybody else got public input? Yes.
I have a few things. I'm sorry, I've missed a couple meetings, so you might have talked about this. Is the county funding the Blue Moon, the request?
The request was in, I believe, for $2,000, and the subcommittee knocked it down to $1,000. And it is on one line, and I can't remember, I think it's the direct, the call-in. Somebody off the main corridor. It would be for that particular section of their transportation system.
So the county's doing it in addition to the towns?
Yes.
The towns, as I understand it, are funding the other portion. I mean,
No, they're funding the whole thing. I don't understand how you can specify the money's only going to one part of the Blue Loom.
I had that same problem. It was not brought to the commissioners to be placed in the budget. They came in and talked to the delegation directly, and the person in charge of that is Mark McConkey, who is the subcommittee chairman.
And just for the record, I'm on the budget committee in Ossipee, and I believe that they've designated the money from Ossipee to the
Major Trail?
door-to-door
door-to-door?
rather than the scheduled one, too. I don't know, I don't see how they can separate the two in the
I don't
funding.
know either.
Well, they came to Effingham and Jack presented it, but he was trying to defend his request. And nothing about splitting the cost was ever brought up to us, because I'm on the budget committee. for Effingham. So I don't understand that.
I guess my comment to you would be to talk with Mark McConkey and,
Well, I thought Jack was the head guy for,
say that again?
I thought Jack Rose was the head guy that was.
Jack Rose is.
So why would I want to talk to Mark McConkey?
Well, you asked if the county was going to participate, and the request was in for 2,000, and they knocked it down to
Okay.
1,000.
On that part of it, okay. All right, switching gears, have you replaced Lori? that left
Not
downstairs
yet. What we are doing is, we sent out a notice to find out if anybody within the complex would be interested in that job. And the closing was last Friday. And we will be interviewing, I believe it was 3 individuals that applied for it. We will interview those, and if we don't find that they are qualified, then we'll go outside and advertise outside.
Okay, yeah, because that was going to be my next question. And have you chosen who's going to print the county report yet?
Yes, Minuteman Press out of North Conway.
And I just have a question about your email. I mean, it was specifically set up, I thought, your computer downstairs so you could check your email before you came to a meeting. Do you guys do that?
We did not. Asher, I've asked Asher to do that. She came in late.
Oh,
Well, I guess my reasoning is, if we're going to bother to send you an email, I would sincerely hope one of you would bother to check it.
I've been checking it for a while, and it is not updating
What's not updating?
the computer, the emails. We have emails from November. I don't have recent emails.
The
So
last
nobody
time-
sent any, is that what you're saying?
No,
They
what
may
she's
be
saying,
sending
Maureen,
emails,
is,
but the computer is not working how it's supposed to work. I only see emails from November in.
right. There are only 3 or 4 on there since I went to check it, I guess my second week here, as Commissioner Kenney said. It's only goes as far as November 4th, and it was January 14th, and I think there may be 2 other entries through, so it isn't working. One of my suggestions in the work session today was that we each be given our own county complex email address, so when I get downstairs, I can check my own. The other problem is with the emails, Maureen, and from what we could see from November back, everybody and their brother CCs the commissioners, and there's literally hundreds of emails there that have nothing to do with our business. It's somebody informing somebody else in another department, but they send it to us. And it's a time-consuming task to go through there and find out which ones really pertain to something we have control over or are working on. And that's why I'm suggesting that we each get our own, and so if anybody has a problem, they can send it to us directly, and we don't have to read 500 emails.
Okay. I had one more thing. Speaking of that, Mr. Babson, every week you were complaining about the fact that you couldn't find the agenda.
During the work session, Mrs. Spencer, right here, number 5 is the agenda.
Well, once again, I went on the county website and there is no agenda. There's no calendar. I don't know what happened to that whole piece of it, but it's not working. So I would like you to address that. And I think I had voiced that a couple weeks ago, and you said you would look into it.
And I voiced it with Mrs. Sullivan here and Mr. Sorenson a while back, that the
So what do we have to do
excuse
to
was
get
Laurie
action?
wasn't here with a backup. We're talking 2 or 3 weeks, a second backup should already be in place. There's no excuse for this not being out there by noontime on Monday. And if I have anything to say about it, I'm going to stay on it until it happens. There's just no excuse for it.
This is the face of Carroll County. It's a public website, and
Right.
you can't find anything on it. So I would sincerely hope you do address that. Thank you.
I thought the website was all up and going, and
When
everything
Laurie
was
left, she was the backup, and Debbie hadn't got it done because she was sick. Then Laurie went, so there's nobody to do it. We ought to have 2 people that are qualified to do it. It's our responsibility to get it done. I talked to Janice Sullivan about it, and it should happen. There's no excuse for it not being.
I
The
believe
agenda's
Lottie.
on here.
Yeah,
Huh?
I'm
It was
looking at it
posted
too.
last week.
Well,
I
where?
believe-
Because I'm looking at it now. Where are you
Under
looking
news and
at?
notices.
I believe
Right on
Lottie
the
was
front
not
page.
posting it. She just posted the agenda to us. She sent the emails out. But I believe it's the HR department is setting it up on the website.
Yes, but she had two backups. She had Debbie, that was the one doing it,
Yeah,
and Laurie, who was the backup if Debbie wasn't there.
all right.
She was doing it.
But they've got it.
But obviously, Mrs. Spencer has got to take a adult education class in computer operation, and
Well, if that's true, forgive me.
So it is working, so the
Okay.
agenda
but it's
and the
not
calendar
under the
is there.
calendar where it's supposed to be? Is
Yeah,
that the problem?
It's on here.
Damon, the calendar is also there.
The
It's on
calendar's
but
there,
it's
and it says there's a commission
But it's what?
meeting
But it's on.
at 8:30, but you have to go down a little further, and then under news and notices.
Can you show me
So
what's,
it is
is it
working?
changed?
So I-
Yeah, I
So
think
the- Okay,
Okay, it's up there.
it could be better, but it's working.
It's,
okay.
All right,
What
I'm
is
sorry.
Mrs. Spencer missing?
I think maybe.
Where was she that she didn't get it?
She was on the commissioner's office page.
Oh,
So perhaps on that page, there could be a link to this page,
good idea. Okay.
you know?
Thank you.
Because you would go to the commissioner's office probably thinking you want to
I
know
thought
about
it
the
was, yeah, I thought it was
commissioner's
being
meeting.
done, but
So it is being on there.
Yes.
We just can't find it.
no,
Or-
Mrs.
Or
Spencer
some
can't
people,
find it.
some people can't find it. But the important people, newspaper people, they can find anything, right?
She's way more than that. Yeah.
So, Mrs. Spencer, can I scratch number 5?
You may.
Thank you.
Any other public input, please? Yes, Ed?
I wanted to recap on a vote. Did you vote to accept a federal highway grant?
Yes.
At what point, being
Chris-
that the federal government has put us into so much debt, are you going to refuse to take federal grants? At what point will that threshold be?
I think the important thing is that coverage be given on the Cancomagus Highway. That the federal government would rather have the sheriff's department patrol it rather than them get into hiring and so forth, where this is just a summer, a month or two in the summertime, versus hiring somebody year-round to do it. The other issue was the safety because of the accidents that are happening on, that were happening on Route 16 in a certain section there, that they would put an extra patrol there to reduce the speeding, the speeders.
So my question is, at what point are you going to refuse to take federal grants, knowing that the federal government has got us into so much debt? At what point will you refuse to take the grants?
I think the federal government's going to spend it whether we do it or not. I don't know how to answer your question, I guess.
My answer would be at that point that it becomes a safety issue. You know, somebody has to do this, and if the federal government figures that Carroll County can do it cheaper than they can do it,
That's a good one.
that's a good one.
So you feel no ethical responsibility to refuse to continually take on federal debt?
That's not a fair question, because we don't know what the other grants are coming. The 2 that we had, I have no problem ethically taking the grants. I can't tell you about the future.
Okay.
It's protection for the safety of residents in Carroll County as well as visitors coming in that may cause an accident. A visitor may come in and hit somebody that's a resident of Carroll County, and so it all has to do with safety. I see what your question is, but until there's no problems with accidents and issues or events that happen on the tank, I think we would continue to do it.
Thank you.
Okay? Yes, Mr. Brown?
During that conversation with the grants, I didn't hear one commissioner ask what are the strings attached to that grant and see if the grant itself outweigh the strings attached. What are the strings attached to these grants?
I think,
Because the federal government never gives out money without attaching something. to the grant?
My take on it, as I said, when we looked at those grants, these have been done for years that I am aware of. We haven't had any problems with any kind of attachments. The sheriff may be able to answer that, but we haven't had any problems with either one of those grants in the past.
They always ask for something in return. And that's
Well-
what I'd like to know. What are they asking for by giving out this money? They always want something back.
Well, they want people, they want sheriff deputies to patrol the Cank certain times of the day, certain months of the year. The same is true for that grant for Route 16. I believe it's down towards Wakefield, if I'm not mistaken, in that stretch, that you'd be patrolling for speeders where the accidents have taken place, or is it all the way up to
It's
Tamworth?
the whole corridor, Route 16.
It's the whole corridor, okay.
Is allowed to patrol. And again, like I said, a mile out on 28 or 25. So at the time that we do it, if there's less traffic on 16, we can branch off, or we can patrol a whole lane of 16, all the way up to Conway, or just portions of it if it's heavier traffic in the southern end or not. And there are no strings attached, so you can believe what they want. But the highway grant is state money, and the forestry one is federal money, but no strings attached.
Question?
Yes, Steve, I read that contract, and you're perfectly free to read it, but can't take it home, but you can read it. The only strings that I can see in it is what we have to pay and the hours we have to do it. And nothing that's gonna run out that says we have to hire the man next year because they're not gonna fund it anymore, or any of the usual strings. And it's there if you'd like to look at it.
Go ahead.
I think basically what I'm getting from this is why do we continue to give the federal government our monies to fund ourselves with? I think that's the issue at hand.
Why do we give our money to the federal government?
Correct.
Good
Through
question.
taxation and everything, we give the federal government our money, taxpayer money,
Yeah.
and in turn they give it back to us at a high interest rate.
Give part of it back.
Part of it, right, but, you know, why do we continue with this process? That's the question at hand. When are we gonna say, no, we're not gonna keep giving the federal government, you know, a leverage against us? Because that's what it is. Somewhere along the way, somebody's gonna, you know, the federal government has some strong arm in our community or something, in some form or another, by, you know, providing funds for non-governmental or type organizations, Agenda 21, if you will. You know, the government's being strong-armed against us with our own money.
Okay,
I think that's what Ed was talking about.
okay. Anybody else, public input? Yes.
I have a few things, so I'll try to move quick. Just wanted to ask about, I think it was last week when Will DeWitt came in regarding the farm and the vacancy that he has and his staffing.
Right.
And it was suggested that Commissioner Babson be part of the hiring process for the new person. Is that a new procedure? I found it highly unusual that a commissioner would be involved in the hiring of staff when it's not a department head. I felt that was kind of I hate to use this term, but micromanagement of that hiring process. I understand that you obviously have an interest in anyone who comes to work.
We have
for
an
the county.
interest in what that person is being paid.
Right. I was curious. I found it unusual.
Okay.
Yes, I'll just leave it at that.
All right.
The next question I had was, some months ago, I asked about where the non-public meeting minutes are prepared,
Where they are prepared.
where they're typed, if they're typed on the complex.
You're asking that to Asha.
I know, I'm just directing this to the chairman because that's proper, but, so I asked if the meeting minutes are prepared here in the building or if they're prepared somewhere out in the world, and I was told that the clerk actually prepares them at home because there was no computer available here. I was wondering now that there is a computer available here, if the minutes are being done on campus or if they're still being done somewhere else.
No, the minutes are being done home. We have sometimes minutes from 3 and 4 hours long that I have to listen to and then type. So I'm not going to stay whole day here and listen to it and type them. And also there are some issues going on the campus with hacking. Certain people have access. I'm not comfortable to doing non-public minutes here on the computer. I don't think it's secure.
Could I have a follow-up on that point?
Yes.
How can the public be ensured that their business, and the employees be ensured that the business, the private business of the county is secure in Wakefield?
Well, it was done here before on the campus and it was not secure. It is secure.
So your word is the security. Are there any other measures in place? I don't know what those would be. I'm not a big IT person, but.
My only comment to that is that we need to get the non-public minutes done the following week. If they're not done the following week, then we forget what happened, and that's the reason for the minutes, and they should be updated every week and properly voted on to accept them and seal them. They're sealed in a regular non-public meeting. However, they ought to be brought before the board to approve them the following week. Which in some cases they're not, because they are sealed, so it doesn't affect the 72-hour release type thing. But just for our own good, they ought to be done promptly.
I think it should be done in the same month, at least in the same month.
I think maybe.
Go ahead.
Mr. Chairman, I don't see any reason that the same rules for minutes of public meetings don't adhere to non-public meetings. I've been here 6 weeks now, and I don't know that I've seen maybe one set of non-public minutes yet. And the job is supposed to be for the clerk to get them done, and it's just not getting done, apparently.
I just want to say I brought a couple weeks ago 2 sets of non-public minutes, and both commissioners has it, and they never give it back. They were going to read it.
I've read them, and I gave them back to the chairman, Commissioner Kenney.
And the chairman has 2 sets of non-public
We have
minutes.
to find them, but that's only 2 out of the probably 8 non-public meetings that we've had.
Okay, follow-up, more questions?
Did you have a question relevant to this?
I did. Commissioner Kenney just said our computers are insecure and apparently they've been hacked or are subject to hacking. And I just want to know if the other commissioners feel the same way.
I haven't heard of any hacking here. Commissioner Babson has mentioned that we get emails from everybody on the computer that's in the commissioner's office. Whether they can retrieve any of that information or not, I don't know.
I would say no, I don't feel that my mail's been hacked.
There was an issue going on in the nursing home, and there was hacking going on. And Commissioner Babson also said, we have a couple more chats, we're behind, I'm not bringing them. I want to have it noted in the minutes that I'm the first commissioner. I'm doing myself the non-public minutes as the clerk of the commissioner. It's been done by an employee before. And I'm doing that, I'm taking my time, I listen to everything, and I do it accurate.
Correct me if I'm wrong, when we talked with Mr. Brown from the AG's office, didn't he say we could have somebody in recording non-public minutes?
Yes, and we asked Nancy last week if she wanted to do it.
And Commissioner Kenney said she was going to continue to do it on her own.
Does that require?
So if we going to have Nancy to do it, where is she going to do it then? We can have, but we had the issues in the past. I took over last year because the issue was that non-public information was out in the street and in the paper. That's why I stopped that nonsense and I was doing the non-public minutes, and I'm still doing that.
Go ahead.
That's a perfect segue for my next question. It has come to our attention, our being the public attention, I suppose, that Commissioner Kenney now has her own website where she intends to set the record straight about things that have been said against her or to voice her opinion. I don't have the exact wording in front of me right now. But on the issue of information being out in the public that shouldn't be, I have a question regarding settlements for county employees. In the past, when county employees have filed suit, grievance against the county, and that has resulted in a settlement, did all parties sign non-disclosure statements?
You mean to be released?
No, that the thing, whatever it was settled, here's your check, nobody gets to talk about this.
Right.
Did you guys sign
Yes.
non-disclosure statements?
Yep.
On the website that Commissioner Kenney has privately started on her own, I'm assuming separate from the board, you're
On
not
my
any part
website.
of this, right?
No.
There is information about settlements for county employees, and it names them specifically. And I question the appropriateness of that,
Yep.
obviously, and I call that to your attention. When a new commissioner comes on board, are they privileged to go back and read settlements
Yes.
that had non-disclosure agreements?
Yes. We just learned that.
You were talking about non-public minutes earlier.
When a
was trying to
commissioner
separate the
fills
two.
that position, it's the position that has that responsibility, not the individual. So in this case, Commissioner Babson replaced Commissioner Solomon. He has the right to go back and look at non-public minutes. I think we passed a motion that to go back and look at settlements, it needs a vote of the board to do that.
Did the Board of Commissioners
Majority of the board.
Did the Board of Commissioners vote to allow Commissioner Kenney to read the Woodburn, Waterman, Struble, and Thompson settlements?
I didn't give that permission.
So it would have had to been a vote of the board. You would have been part of that process, and you don't recall that happening.
Right.
Mrs. Seamans, I
And
don't
I
know what
wasn't
you're
here.
talking about, because you were the one first that publicized in your paper the names of the settlements and the numbers. So I don't know what you're talking about.
You had more detail than I have, so I haven't seen any of the settlements. I was just wondering have you read, can I ask her a question?
Sure.
Have you read those
I
settlements?
have no comments on you, Mrs. Seamans, because your writing is so biased, and I know what you're up to. I know you have your own agenda. And I don't have any settlements by RSA. The settlements needs to be by me, but they are not by me. I don't have and I don't read any settlements. If settlements are coming now at a term that then yes, then I will have the settlements, but I don't know nothing about other settlements of past settlements.
So I just need to clarify. I know you don't want to answer my questions, but I need to clarify this.
I'm
So-
not answering any of your questions, no more comments.
Address
Can I-
it to the board.
Okay, can I just make a point on that? My writing is I'm accused of being biased and having an agenda,
Mhm.
but being told that I'm the one that unveiled all the settlement information in an article. If I'm biased and I have an agenda, why was my information taken as fact and then put on our website? I just wanted to try to make that point.
We've been questioned as to whether what she has on her website are legal or not, and I believe in non-public session, we'll discuss whether that should pass an attorney to find out whether what is being placed on that website is legal or not.
Will there be any action taken this week regarding Commissioner Babson's request last week to allow Robin Reade to see the results of the investigation?
We have had,
Are you going to talk about it again? Or-
I'll let Commissioner Babson answer that, but before he does, we checked with our attorney, and the attorney says Those should not be released.
Do you think Commissioner Babson had a valid point that when the investigation was revealed, the results of it were revealed, that perhaps only yourself and Commissioner Solomon should have been allowed to read it, if Robin wasn't?
I don't know the legal ramifications of that, but it sounds reasonable. I have on that website, I was accused of having 3 that are not being investigated. If Commissioner Kenney was here Monday, she would have had a chance to look at the conclusion of one of those investigations that I have here that I will give her. Commissioner Babson has read it, and so I was going to bring it up under the work session, but since you brought it up, there is one that was investigated and completed, and it's confidential, and so we're not going to be able to release it. Commissioners will get it.
The person who filed that complaint will not get to read that.
We still are going to have a talk with the attorney that did the investigation. He wrote a summary, and he believes that that summary may be able to be released. There are no names in it, and whatever the outcome is.
Okay.
Okay?
But that is a point that should be considered, I think, that when someone files a complaint, and in all fairness, Commissioner Kenney has brought that forward, that when people file complaints, they have no idea what happened in the end.
That's not true.
Or they have very limited information.
That's right.
I mean, I have seen.
Letters were sent to these individuals that complained, drafted by the attorney, and giving them information that pertains to that investigation. Whether it is detailed, it's not. But they are informed as to that the investigation took place and action was taken.
Can I ask how long the county has had the same attorney? And what the process was for selecting that person?
2 years, maybe?
Okay.
I mean, I don't think we had a need prior to that of having a consulting attorney. I mean, normally we would use a county attorney.
Right.
But if he's involved in it, then we can't use him, or if he can't do the investigation because of a conflict of interest, then
Or
we
she.
have no choice.
Now it's a she, but. Okay, so what was the process for hiring someone? For hiring Liz Bialy? How did that,
It was voted on here.
did you go out to bid? Did you advertise? Did you just go on recommendation from the New Hampshire Association? How did you?
I think we went by
how
a
did you find this
recommendation from
person?
Primex, our insurance company.
Okay.
And in fact, one of those investigations that was mentioned on her website, claiming that the taxpayers picked that, what she said was $90,000. I think you'll find that Primex hired that attorney to do the investigation. It happened to be Attorney Schwartz. That's what they did. They hired him. We didn't. We didn't pay the bill. The insurance company paid that
Insurance
bill.
company.
Didn't cost the taxpayers any dollars, which is misleading as to what was in that website.
Okay.
And as far as another item in that website, I think she said that I have a long, I forget the correct wording.
You have a history of manipulating the county dollars.
Yeah, but
Is that the one you're going for?
no, it was regarding my long-term
Yeah.
association with Attorney Schwartz. And I'll tell you, I haven't had, a longtime friend, I think it was.
Long time.
I don't have many friends as attorneys, to be honest with you, and I sure don't have a friendly relationship with him. Now, he has done investigations here, but yes, there was some that we hired him to do it, and there was some that Primex, our insurance company, hired him to do. And in that particular case, they hired him, they paid the bill.
Okay, can I respond to a couple things?
Yeah, have anything else regarding that newsletter, that website?
Not regarding that, I have two other minor questions on
Okay, you
completely
wanna-
unrelated topics.
You want to respond to that one?
Yes, can I respond to that?
Mhm.
Talking about the list, the names,
Talking about-
anyone can file a 91A. They've been giving here out a settlement list with the numbers. And they give me also the list, the settlement list with the numbers. But the other people who file the 91A, they get it too. The other thing, you handed me this,
Yes.
is there? He's talking about the investigation, that he has been
Be
investigated.
careful of
I'm-
what you say.
Yes, I'm
It's
very.
confidential.
Yeah, I'm very be careful. This is not true, this is something else. The 3 investigations, what I'm talking about is the Perry, the Woodburn, and another one that is filed is still not being investigated. This is just a response from an attorney, what we asked him to look in 2 different issues, and he have a response.
It was a complaint that was filed by an individual
Yeah, but this is the
against the
whole.
Board of
Yeah.
Commissioners.
Yeah, this was just looking into a meeting, and I mean, it was public. This was just a response, and we had a conference call about it, that he was writing 2 responses because somebody from the jail said something. So this is not an investigation, so you're not being truthful again. The other thing what I want to bring out is, you said it doesn't cost the taxpayers any money, the $90,000. The chairman is wrong. The taxpayers are paying the insurance. And every time you have to hire attorneys, Primex needs to send them, the tax rate can be up. So it is still insurance money.
My
It's
comment to
it's
that, would you say we
insurance money.
shouldn't have coverage? We shouldn't have liability
I
coverage?
didn't say that. That is a dumb remark to make, Mr. Chairman.
Well, that's what you're saying.
Mr. Chairman, this isn't a
you-
very productive discussion, and we
Okay.
have to move on.
All right.
And I just want to comment on the last thing, what you said, that you didn't know Swatch. Swatch been doing work here and advising the commissions for a long time. Not only when he went in the Jackson and Lewis office before, he was first in Exeter. And later he transferred. There is a long history.
Okay, Damon, you
that's
had a
it.
question? Comment?
Somewhere in the middle of this conversation, you mentioned that there was something that could be released, some kind of summary written by a lawyer. What was that in regards to?
Well, you said
It's
you sent to the
confidential. As
people.
soon as we talk with him, he sent this to us to see what portion of it we felt could be released. Okay, so we'll wait and talk with him again.
Well, that implies the whole thing could be released. And what does it pertain to the Reed Asha dispute or Reed?
It's confidential.
Can I see
No
that?
comment.
Can I see the top there?
He wrote it to see what could be released, but it definitely implies that all of it could be released. So why are you asking again what could be released if he's saying, here, this is what we have that could be released?
This is something else. He was just looking at 2 little issues, what somebody make a comment, and I think those things were in the paper. Somebody raised questions, that was in the paper, and the attorney just wrote the response for us. That is all. It was no really investigation.
Okay.
It was a complaint that was filed requesting that an outside investigator investigate it. I say that's an investigation. He has done his work. He has presented us with his recommendation, and he marked it confidential. We will talk with him again after we have all read it and see what can be released.
And this is different than all the other problems we've heard. This is not the 3 that we've discussed.
Employee just raised 2 comments,
Okay.
what was done wrong, and this is the attorney to wrote a response about the concerns what the employee had.
Okay, let's
I
move.
never even had an interview about that. There's nothing. We had a phone conference. He was looking into 2 issues what an employee raised. So it is not a big investigation, nothing, and he's just writing a response. That's all.
I believe the attorney only talked with me about this particular investigation
Okay.
because it named me as one of the Board of Commissioners.
I guess what I was trying to get at, just to simplify my question, is we've heard about the 4 big grievances. You know, we've had Fowler's, we've had Reed's, we've had Woodburn's, and we've had Perry's. Is this over and above that?
Yes.
Okay.
Okay, any further? Yes, Mr. Brown?
In regards to settlements, I don't have the exact RSA in front of me at the moment, but at a very minimum, by RSA,
Yep.
monies paid out in
Yep.
settlements are a matter of the public record.
That's correct.
And the county needs to maintain those records for a minimum of 10 years.
That's correct.
So anybody can, this notion that, you know, someone's releasing it's public information.
That what you said is public, but have you read her website? Because names were mentioned, and I don't believe names are released according to the RSA.
Go right downstairs, because I've gotten them myself,
Okay.
with names,
Other employees got it too.
with names.
They just give
The
names and the
The
settlement
names
and
and
the
the
number.
amount that were paid are there. The
Yep.
the investigation is not,
Right.
but the name and the amount that was paid is right down, it's public information,
Okay.
by RSA.
Another paper had it also published and put the names and the numbers in.
We're gonna
The
have
only
to,
thing what you cannot put is you have a settlement agreement and it's a confidential clause, you cannot write about the whole agreement. But even if it's not confidential clause, that whole settlement agreement is public knowledge. It's up there for the
I
public.
mean, I forgot, I
Okay.
forgot my book today, but I mean, I'll bring it next week.
Okay.
And I have names and the amount that were paid in the settlements, that I got right from downstairs.
But they
okay.
be giving also out a settlement agreement. What had a clause, they be giving that out to the public too. There was one given out. It is so, it's unbelievable that we have actually a commissioner. He just want to violate the law and just release whole personal issues, what is exempt by law. But now there's a little, oh, we have a name there and a number. Oh, that shouldn't be disclosed.
It already has been.
Well, let me say that any accusations, I did this a month or two ago, any accusations that come up regarding the Board of Commissioners needed to be documented. Otherwise, it's hearsay, it's not, it doesn't mean anything unless it's documented. We can listen to all kinds of rumors, accusations, and so forth, but unless it's documented, it doesn't mean anything.
I have
Okay.
documentation. and
Everybody
everything
should
documented.
question when things come out, like she is doing, should question, where it comes from, who put it in there, and so forth, and whether it's legal to do it or not. That's where there's documentation, okay? You got that last question? Then we gotta move on. Go
Yeah,
ahead.
I was gonna say, we've talked about settlements with names, ad nauseum for the past year. I don't know.
I don't
why-
believe I mentioned any names.
I don't know why it's a big deal now.
Yep. Go ahead.
My point wasn't just the names and the amounts. It's specific things like referring to a former employee as someone who has a history of manipulating county tax dollars. I mean, how can you, okay. That's where I was going with that. I think it was less, because I've got the list of names and amounts too. It's public information, but it's what goes beyond that I was questioning.
I would say come up with proof where anybody on the Board of Commissioners have manipulated any money. I think it's all been in annual reports, it's all been in a particular line item in our budget, or it's been paid for by the insurance company. Okay? End of conversation.
The last little
You got one
things-
more? Yeah, that's right, you said you had two more, go ahead.
Last
We'll
little
let you
side
do
thing, I
it.
think, two quick, you guys were talking about performance evaluations for
Yes.
department heads
Yes.
and developing a procedure and a form for that. Admittedly, you can't be experts in every department here on the campus, you just do what you can. But when it comes down to it, you're charged with evaluating the people who are the experts of their departments.
Who are directly responsible to us,
I
yeah?
wondered if the commissioners had considered, as a piece of the performance evaluations, like a 360 performance evaluation, where you also get input from other management staff that work
Mhm.
with them, other staff at their facilities.
Yep.
So you have like the LNAs and the director of nursing and, you know, all this, the dietary who are giving their input into
Mhm.
the director of the nursing home. Or, you know, at the jail, you have different levels there
Yep.
that help with the process. Because I wonder how effectively the commissioners can actually evaluate department heads. You know that if they do whether or not what you ask them to do,
Yeah.
or, you know, if they seem to be handling things appropriately, but
Mhm.
how are they really doing their job?
I would think that we would get complaints from department heads, should they not be doing their job, or they have issues with the department head.
And I guess it works both ways. I'm not just like
Mhm.
thinking about the complaint side of it, but what are they doing that's positive that you may not notice?
I see.
So it works
Yep.
both ways. It's just,
Mhm. Good point. Go ahead.
and
We're only in the process of working up or changing the evaluation sheets, and I think your idea has a lot of merit to it, because I certainly don't know much about corrections, or I assume sooner or later I'll know something about a nursing home, but I don't know anything about it right now. But this, we haven't, this is not cut in stone, and we have, Janice has made it. It was on our work session today, but she's not here, so we can't do it.
And I'm sure she's familiar with that process, but I had come across some information about how to do them, and
Mhm.
I forwarded it to her, just to ask her the question, not realizing that
Yep.
she was out, but.
We got some input from Rockingham County, and I think there was another one. I don't remember the other one.
Okay.
2 inputs from how they evaluate people. Yep.
And lastly, the master plan committee, any more thought? And
We've had so much stuff going on.
I know.
And you'll see that in our work session, we'll probably have more stuff to do. So it's ongoing.
Thank you.
We've had volunteers that have volunteered to be on that master planning committee. Yep, all I can tell you right now. Okay? Okay.
I would like to second Chairman Sorenson's answer. We've had a lot on our plate this week, and we have not got, or I haven't gotten to it, and I'm sure the other two haven't gotten to it, but we will.
Thank you for allowing me that much time.
Okay, you're welcome. You said it in the beginning, and I didn't get back to you on it. Okay, at this time, Jason, you wanted to go into non-public, right? I guess we need to do that between now and 11 o'clock. What's the rest of the board feel about it? So
He requested non-public, yeah?
he's requesting non-public for personnel, I believe.
Do you want to go back in the other room?
It's up to the group. If you feel that we ought to do that, we can do that. Otherwise, we just shut everything down. We're going to shut everything down anyway, but
I
Suggestions.
take the stand that the public has come here to listen to the meeting today, and we still have our work session to go, which is going to interest, or should interest the public, and to have them go and expect them to sit around while we go conduct business with somebody that 5 minutes away doesn't make sense to me. I would think that we would do the work session, and then after that, or after lunch, or after Doc Star, or whatever, then we would conduct the non-public sessions. And maybe that's something we ought to think about, having non-public sessions after lunch all along, so that there's some continuity to these meetings.
we've tried to put it at the end, but this week it didn't follow that. All right, Jason, could you come back
I just have a question. Jason,
11:30?
how long is it going to take your non-public session? Is it just a couple minutes?
Yeah, probably about 10, 15 minutes or so.
How long?
I can come back after lunch.
Because we have
Why don't we
Jason now
call
waiting
you,
here for a while.
probably between 11:30 and 12 o'clock?
Okay.
Okay.
Just give me a call and I'll come back.
All right, sorry to keep you here. I thought we'd get to you.
That's okay. Thank you.
So he is coming after the presentation, eh?